Hi. I have to thank you, first of all. A brief story. My dad had passed away a few years ago, and I remember you saying, look for them where they are. I'd always wished he could go on vacation with us, because we did a lot of vacations with my family. And we were in Vancouver and sent the kids to the hotel, and my husband and I were going to go get some things to have a picnic at the hotel. We went into a wine store, and my dad's a wine connoisseur, and I was like, oh, I wish Dad could be here. I always wished he was on our vacations. And I looked around, I said, I get to pick whatever I want. I wish he could have done that. And then I remembered he died. And then I turned and I looked at a bottle of wine and had his name, Vincent, in red right in front of me. And now I know he actually does go on vacation with us now. And I realized that. So thank you.
Isn't it nice to know that your dearly departed are not so departed, and that they are aware, and all is required is your awareness that they are aware and your willingness to play, because they're right there all the time with insight and clarity and fun.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. Okay, I have a lot of projects: home, business, personal, health, and I find that I struggle looking at what's left to do, what's not done, what seems to be stuck and not moving forward. And I don't know how to stay focused to help them move forward, because I keep looking at what's not done. And there's little progress here and there, but I get...
Well, you've spoken your own dilemma, because while you do think about where you're going, you also think about where you're not going. So there's that contradiction of focus right within your own conversation here. We just have some questions for you. Why do you do these things? Are you doing them to get them done?
A lot, I think, are going to be a lot of fun, like a gardening and reading and art projects, and then some are just work.
You know the word fulfill. So sometimes people will say, I want to fulfill my life's purpose. And recently we've been talking about the word satisfaction, and we explained that satisfaction comes from only one place. You can get satisfaction only one way, and that's from life giving you a clear and personal intention or desire, and then you moving in the direction of it, not getting all the way to it, just moving in the direction of it. So life is going to continue to give you the next and the next and the next and the next, and as long as you're looking in the direction of it, then you'll feel satisfaction. And you know, your inner being is not really working with you in this regard. Your inner being doesn't want you to ever get them done. Your inner being doesn't want you to ever be without a project, because your inner being knows that the fun is in the closing of that gap. And as soon as you close one gap, as soon as you accomplish or manifest something, a new set of contrasting experiences will cause the next to be launched, and the next and the next. So we would like to say to you that just a different way of looking at this. These are life-giving projects. They're life-giving. So what you're reaching for is the eagerness that the project gives to you. Now let's go back to the first thing that we said today, the very first premise that we began, the first thing that we were wanting to relate to all of you, because we knew the power of it. Feel the difference when you think about projects, in focused upon a project that may feel stalled out or may be at a phase which doesn't feel too fun to you. Feel the difference in the way that feels and the way you felt when you first dreamed about the project. We've been saying for a long time that whether it's an empire or a relationship or a boatload of financial well-being, doesn't matter what it is, 99.99999999% of it is created before you nail the first nail in the first board, before the first employee is attracted to do the first task. The creation happens vibrationally before any action gets going. And so the action isn't the way you accomplish the project. The action is the way you enjoy the project. The creation has already taken place. Life caused you to dream it into being. Now this action is all about the way that in a satisfying way you get to enjoy the progress of its manifestation.
And when I look at what's stuck, it's hard to remember what I really wanted to have it done in the beginning.
Well, that's because you're reacting. You're reacting to what is, instead of feeling the freshness of the idea before you put stuck stuff in it. And so what kind of things do you put in it? It's costing too much, or it's taking too long, or people aren't doing what they're supposed to do. And think about the resistant nature of those thoughts. So the conversation began here today that we really want those like you, and that's who this group is that has assembled. We want you to think in terms of masterful harnessing of the energy that creates worlds and flowing it in the direction of your desires, rather than fixing stuff or justifying stuff or getting stuff done. Want to talk about the details of the project, and we'll show you what we mean?
Well, look at the garden. It's just gotten to be a mess, and we want to fix the tree house, and then there's this sort of part of the house that's getting crumbly, and we have to fix that, and we just can't keep up with it fast enough. And there's 100 other projects too, but that's sort of the details.
So we want to take these words, these flawed words that you offered, we just can't keep up with it, which may be a factual reality, or it may seem, but we want to tell you why. It's because you're not using the leverage of getting out ahead of it. You're trying to fix it, which splits your energy, and it hinders your ability to attract what you might want to call miracles that bring it about. It's like when you're out there on the raw and ragged edge trying to do stuff through action. It's no wonder you all get into time shortage consciousness, because you ask too much of yourself within the time frame, rather than allowing the universe to assist you with all of the help that can come to you in so many different ways.
And the method to allow, I seem to have forgotten everything I've learned in 10 years with you.
Well, it's the reason that we're having this conversation in the way that we are here today, because sometimes Esther forgets too. In fact, she was sitting with a deliberate intent to apply a process that she had learned from us, but she was overworking the process. So she was working too hard on a focus wheel, trying too hard to clean up vibration, when what she really needed to do was just forget about it and get into a happy place and let the fairies of the universe do more work for her. Some time ago, she was in a state very much like you are, and she and Jerry were having lunch at the original macaroni grill. In fact, it was the only macaroni grill at the time. And there was butcher paper on the table, still is. And Esther was sitting there feeling frustration with her list of stalled out projects and her inability to find enough time to take care of them. And she was frustrated, sort of like you. And so Jerry said what he always said when Esther was in a bind. Let's ask Abraham. To really annoy Esther that he wouldn't talk it over with her. He'd bail out right away. Let's ask Abraham. So Esther says, all right. And so Esther relaxes, and here we come. And at the macaroni grill then, maybe even still now, there were crayons on the butcher paper. And so we drew a big T, and on the left column we said to Esther, write things I need to do today, or things I will do today. And in the other column, write things I would like the universe to tend to. And then we encouraged her to take her long list, she always had it in her purse, and look at the items and put on her list only the things that she either really wanted to do, there weren't many, she wasn't letting herself do fun stuff, and the things that she felt like she really needed to do today, or else. Those kind of things. Got to do this because somebody needs it. Got to do this because somebody's waiting. Got to do this because it's a payment that's due now. Those kinds of things. So Esther wrote a rather short list, and then we said to her, put everything else on the universe side of the placemat. So she went through this long list. It was a page or two in a long book. She wrote it and 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 wrote it. And with everything she wrote on the universe's side of the placemat, she felt a little lighter and a little freer. And at the end of that day, she did everything on her list, but the universe did more. People called her that she needed to call. Somebody accomplished something and let her know that it had been taken care of without her. It was uncanny, those were her words, how equipped and efficient and accurate the universe was. It made her realize all this help that had been in the wings all along that she'd been blocking. Why do you put it all on your side of the list? To prove worthiness, to show off for others, for redemption? Is it lack of understanding? Mostly. Is it not knowing that their universal forces are there? Is it not being aware of your inner being, knowing what's in your vortex and all of the cooperative components that have already been gathered? Is it your lack of understanding that cooperative components are all lined up and that you're just the last cooperative component that needs to get into line? And the way you get into line is by giving it up, by giving up the struggle, by giving up the battle, by giving up the justification, by giving up the defensiveness, by giving up all that stuff that you've been carrying around. That's the only thing that's in the way of all the help that's there. It'll shine like a cone of light right down on you. It will. It's a cone of light that just follows you around, looking for opportunities to assist you. Oh, come over here, 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 come over here.
So take a list with me when I'm observing and say, nope, that's not for me to do. That's not for me to do.
It might be helpful every day for a little while to sit with your placemat process and just make the list of what you intend to do today and make it reasonable, and put everything else that matters to you on the universe side of the placemat until the universe will convince you first of its awareness of you, of its capabilities, of its talent in engineering and orchestrating circumstances and events. It will free you from the bondage, from the flawed premise that you create your own reality through hard work. And it will give you the awareness that you create your own reality in step one. The contrast helped you to ask for it. But once that's done, everything else is taken care of for you. And your action is about the inspired action that is thrilling to do. Now, you don't believe that yet. You still think that you have hard work that needs to be done. But when it stops being work and starts being play, you'll be amazed at how much is accomplished around you.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Enough?
That's good.
Really good. And can you see how, as we talked about the focus wheel and the difference between the focus wheel, which is cleaning something up, and daydreaming, which is starting fresh, not reacting, and the placemat process, stuff I need to do and letting go of it, and stuff that the universe will tend to. Can you see the characteristics of both that are freeing in nature? Yes.